This is Close Encounters. Close Encounters. True stories, real people. Close Encounters on Cross Rhythms.
Yes, hello, and welcome to Close Encounters with me, Anne Donaldson. My guest today is Virginia Ndozi, and Virginia is a wife, and we're going to hear more, I think, about your husband, who is a gospel singer. She's a mother, and she's currently setting up a charity to help bereaved families, and also studying to become a bereavement counsellor. So, wow, this sounds like a very busy life, a very full life, Virginia. We're so looking forward to hearing from you. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So Virginia, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born and brought up?
I was born in Congo, DRC, because there's two Congos. I'm the DRC one. And I came to England quite a young age, I think about the age of 4. I came to England and I've studied here. So I didn't really have any background of Congo. So basically my whole life is in the UK.
Yeah.
So I've started quite young here and I've had kids here, married here. So background as in will probably just be for family and friends and, hearing about the culture. But myself physically, I've never really gone back as well to Congo. I haven't at all.
So it was your mum and dad that came from the Congo?
Yeah.
And so you were brought up here, as you say. Was that in London?
Yeah, I was brought up in London and South and Clapham. That's where all of my childhood memories, I can say, is from Clapham North, and schools and then graduating, going on to uni, and then through sickness as well. Still went back during my illness. So so my whole life is in the UK.
Okay. So you're growing up. Tell us a little bit. Was it a happy childhood or was it difficult?
I mean, my childhood was very traumatic, I would say, in the sense that I really didn't have a good relationship with my dad, even though I really wanted to have that daddy's girl sort of relationship bond with my dad. Yeah. And if I had to base my dad from a character from the Bible, I would say he had the mentality of Pharaoh. So when he had me, he was very strict in his mannerism. And I would always approach him and ask, why is it that the love between my other siblings and I is different? So I think years after that, my sister was born. So you could see the indifference between the love. And that really did put a strain in their marriage with my mom as well. Yeah. And, but what I can say, even though I lacked a relationship or a bond with my dad, I may have lacked a father figure, but I never lacked love, because my mom always, because she was a Catholic and my dad was a Jehovah's Witness, so two different upbringing of faith. Yeah. So my mom always imposed love and forgiveness, whereas my dad, he was just more different compared to how my mom would embrace the love in the family. Yeah.
So with regard to schooling, you enjoyed schooling. It sounds like you went on to further education.
I did enjoy school. I did love going to school. I think when I was in school, I was more free because I was able to meet a lot of people, and I was able to cling on to other people's parents, if you want to say. Like when I would see the girls would be with their dads, and the way the dad used to embrace the girls, so I would cling on to that love. So I was always searching for a father figure, a father love. Yes. And so that's what gave me some sort of happiness, and also the teachers who are role models for me, because I had a music teacher. He was a male, and he his way of teaching us when we was in secondary school, it was just a lot of passion and, pushing us that you can do it, you can make it.
That's
something
good.
I lacked.
Yeah, that's really good, because there are influences around us all the time, aren't there? And sometimes it's only looking back you see what was a good influence and what wasn't.
That's very true. That's very, very true.
So through your mother's faith, you had an experience or exposure to the Christian faith?
Yes. I started embracing to sing, but it wasn't in Christianity music. So I was more listening to, how would I say, my range of music was more Celine Dion.
Okay.
And the flow of how she used to sing, and it was more the style of Whitney. And because Whitney sang a lot of gospel, and I would always pick up on, especially the song where she sang, "Yes, Jesus Loves Me."
Yeah.
But because it had so many different interpretations, that song of hers just used to touch me. And I wanted to know about this Jesus a lot, even though my dad was a Jehovah's Witness, where as Jehovah's Witnesses at the times, we never used to go to like churches unless they have like big events. That's when you see them, or they go to the kingdom halls.
Yeah.
But with my mom, when she took me to, because she was a Catholic as well and a Pentecostal church, so she had that two upbringings of faith, because my granddad was a Catholic and my grandmother was from the Pentecostal church. So when I had that experience at 12 years old, I wanted to know the music, the love that I felt, and I just wanted to know more about this Jesus. I think it was how I was approached when I first came into the church, the Pentecostal church, because in the Jehovah's Witnesses, we never used to embrace each other by saying, "Hi, how are you?" And, we never had Sunday schools or any of that in the Jehovah's Witness. No, we had where they would come in and they'll just preach you the word of God and you just be reading. And, they had their set minds, but the Pentecostal church was more vibe, I would say, more live.
Yeah. Yeah. And so was it at the age of 12 that you had what we would call your encounter with Jesus?
Yes, it was in my mother's kitchen. I will never forget it. And she was listening to gospel music, because my mother used to listen to gospel music a lot. And it was in the kitchen and she was just cooking and I was just there cleaning with her. And the song that she was listening to, it was a French song. And the words were saying, "If I don't give my life to you, who would I surrender to?" Mm. And suddenly those words just hit me. And there's a corner in my mom's kitchen and I just fell down to my knees and I just felt this heat come over me. Mm. And I just immediately started crying and I just started mumbling words. And then my cousin was there and she thought like there was something wrong with me. Yeah. And my mom says, "No, don't touch her. Do not touch her. Let the Holy Spirit do what he wants to do with her." And from then, my eyes were open. I started to see visions. I started speaking in tongue. And once the vision started, it was uncontrollable.
Oh, it sounds amazing, Vi. So I think it'd be a really good time to listen to your first choice of music. And tell us a little bit why you've chosen this song, "The Goodness of God."
Over the years, I think living with my mom at such a young age, from the age when she gave birth to me, right until my 16th years of living with her, I left the family home. But the goodness of God has always been with me, in the sense that that's the time where you become a rebel. At 16, you just want to enjoy life. But at 16, I was taken from the family home due to domestic violence, and I was put into a hostel, like an all-girls hostel. No mom, no dad. And I turned to the God that my mom showed me or spoke about many years ago, and he took me for the journey of not taking the wrong way of path of life.
So we'll listen to this song now. Thank you. You're listening to Close Encounters. I'm Anne Donaldson and my guest today is Virginia Ndozi. And before that lovely song, Virginia, you were sharing with us about being removed from the family home at the age of 16.
Yes.
What really impacted me as you shared that was that you, although you were in a position where you could have been rebellious and turned away, you actually embraced God in a way that you'd been brought up by your mum particularly.
At 16, I could have been rebellious, but I just felt like God was with me, even though I didn't see him, I didn't feel him, but I just felt like in my spirit that I couldn't let him down. I think the main reason why I was taken away from the family home is because my dad was very abusive towards me, and I couldn't take it anymore. And living in the UK and also going to school, they would see the bruises, they would pick up and stuff. So I was very closed. How would I say? I would protect my family a lot. I never really spoke out that I was being abused or the trauma was too much for me. But there was a couple of teachers in the school who saw that academically I was failing sort of certain classes that I was strong in, and also speaking out to a couple of friends that I had. I think they were the whistleblowers, I would say. They were like, no, Virginia, she's really suffering. You know, she's getting along, and the family home is not good. So when the social workers got involved, the first thing they said was like, we can't allow you to continue to stay here, even though you have the structure with your mom and your siblings. We are not going to take the risk of allowing you to come back to the family home. We're just going to take you. So at 16, I was taken. It was such a traumatic time for me. All I knew was my mom. All I knew was my siblings. All I knew was my dad. But I've just kept saying to myself that maybe if I acted a certain way, it wouldn't trigger him. You know, maybe if I just stayed away from him, or just, I was always making an excuse for why I got shouted at, or why I got the punishment, or why my dad would neglect me in some certain ways. But it was a time where it was like, you need to go. And at that moment of time, it was difficult for me, but I had to take the option to leave. So I became like Moses. I had to leave Egypt.
Yes. and so your faith remained strong. You were still attending the church, or were you not able to?
I was not able to because the social workers wanted to change my life completely. They didn't want me to be near the family. I think it was like separation for identity and everything like that, to really keep me safe. So there was like, you can't be around your community anymore. You can't be around this side. If you're going to be around your community, you're going to be around certain things to do with faith. Just find a different sector to do it in. But I never found that sector. So I that's why I kept on. I had a little my Jehovah's Witness Bible. That's what I had with me. But then I had the New Testament Bible as well. And that was given to me from the school because I went to a Catholic school. So I took those along with me, and I still would just read upon them. And there would be days where I was very lonely. And loneliness does open doors to depression. And I became very depressed, and I started self-harming. But within the self-harming, God's goodness was just good for me. He would put, like, I would say, angels in a physical form. If I go into hospitals, there would always be someone who would not go into the faith, but they would tell me about life. Like, you're young, you can still continue. You don't have to live this life. And so it was, and also the woman who took care of me, she was an Irish lady. So she was very, very, very into her faith. And she was like, this is all in your mind as well, and you're opening portals that are not supposed to be there. If you stay in that mindset, you will be blocked, and you just need to find Jesus. And she would always tell me about her Christian faith and background, and so it was like God never allowed me to be astray too much. No,
there was always that influence, godly influence around you, and you continued to do well in education, and you went to university.
I continued to do well in my education. I would say my rebellious my rebellious stage started when I became 20, where I could have done that at 16, but I became rebellious at 20. I was going through peer pressure with friends. Everybody started dating at that time. But I was thinking like, no, I don't want to date. I just want to take it the godly way. And when I was looking at my friends around, I was like, yeah, it's not bad. I can date. It's not a problem. It cost me a lot, to be honest with you. So when I started dating, I ended up dating the wrong type of person. And I fell pregnant at the age of 28 and had him at 20 as well. But I always say that certain mistakes or certain errors, where my child is not an error, but I think my child was a way that in order to have him was order to bring some closeness with my mom. Because I was so young, I didn't know how to take care of a child. I was a child myself, even though I was 20, but mentally I was still a child. I still was still going to school, and I had to carry the shame with me, especially in the community when people started knowing that I was my mom's child or my dad's child. In the Congolese community, once you have a child outside wedlock, it's like a massive shame. So I carried the shame with me, but I never quit school. I went with my pregnancy to school until I had him. And then my mom got involved because the situation with my child, and it was going downhill. So they said they were about to lose me and also my child when I was given birth. So they had to do an emergency C-section. Yeah. And the family that took me in, they were Congolese family and they were Christians as well. They said, we've got to go get your mom in. And there was one midwife, she was a Nigerian midwife, and she says, what's going on with you is a spiritual battle. And if you have anyone that can stand in the midst for you, is your mom still alive? Is your dad still alive? And we was like, no, my mom's still alive. And we called my mom. And then when my mom came, that's when I actually gave birth.
So she was there praying and supporting you. That's wonderful. And that explains to us why you've chosen the next song, which is God Will Make a Way. And we'll listen to that song now. Yes, this is Close Encounters with me, Anne Donaldson, and my guest today is Virginia Ndozi. And we were hearing about how Virginia had a baby, and we were at the point where the baby was born, and that reconnected you with your mum, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was a special birth, I would say, because when my mum found that I was pregnant, she was against the pregnancy because she, like I said, she was a Catholic and she didn't believe in having a baby outside wedlock. So mysteriously, God also taught my mom that she's not above him. So when I ended up having the child, he came looking just like my mom. He was so my mom, when she held her grandson, she was like, oh my goodness, I'm looking at myself. And I literally could not stop laughing. I said, Mom, because you tortured me when I was pregnant, you see the reward that God paid you in a way to say you should have supported me. But it was very funny. Until today, he's an 18-year-old. He still looks like my mom. So but I didn't learn my lesson. I didn't. Even though God was making a way for me, I was still rebellious in my mindset, thinking that I can receive the love from my baby daddy at the time. And I stayed in a toxic relationship, but God was still calling me. And he was like saying to me, the love that you were looking for, you're not going to find it in this man. And very stubborn. I think I ran away from faith. I became Jonas. I didn't want to do the will of God anymore. I didn't want to pray. I didn't want to fast. But he said, you know what? You're still going to go back to Ninive. You're still going to go back to the calling that I called you at 12 years old. You have a mission. And I remember one day I was sleeping. He visited me. So I had a vivid dream. It was like, I can now relate to the story of Joseph. And when he spoke to me, I had to be submissive. And I said to my son's dad at the time, and I said, I can't be with you anymore. And he gave me the the correct words to use.
Yeah.
And when I asked him these questions and I said, what would you do if I cheated on you? I think it was such a correct question, direct question to him. And he said to me, oh, if you cheated on me, it's nothing, I'll forgive you. And I sat down and I said, really? You forgive me just easily like that? When it's such a difficult question for a man to just simply just answer it, because there's betrayal there. If it's a woman and you're doing that, it's such a betrayal, because it was his lifestyle. He was always cheating, always just being rebellious in the relationship. He wasn't faithful. So I just said to myself, you know what? This is not the type of man that I would want to be with. I would have expected a different answer. And that was the key that God showed me, to literally walk away and leave. And that's when I went back to the church. I served with my mom in the church that she went to. I became the choir leaders in the church, and the pastor in that church, he saw a gift in me, and he called up one of the musicians that he knew, and he said, I've got a young girl, and I was 24 years old at the time. I was ministering. I was there.
Yeah.
It was literally on fire. I couldn't be. There wasn't any sort of like dimming me anymore. I was on fire with God. I repented, and I just said, you know what? I'm not going to have any more kids. I'm going to go back with you, God. I'm not going to have any more relationship. I was sent from everything, and I just served God, and I went to school. And God said, the love that you were seeking for, you will find it in serving me. And I did end up finding that love. That's where I met my husband. Who I am married to today with him.
That's
Yes.
wonderful. And you were sharing that your husband is a gospel singer.
He is, yeah.
And an
He is a gospel
evangelist.
singer. He's also an evangelist.
So God has really blessed you in your marriage.
Yes, he has. He's blessed me with the man that he promised me with.
Yeah.
God never lies. When he says something, he keeps it and he fulfills it to the end.
You know, Vi, I'm thinking as I'm listening to your story, you know, we make mistakes. We
do.
There's going to be people listening who have made mistakes. But, you know, our God is what we're going to listen to in a few moments. Our God is awesome. He is the one who forgives. He's the one who stands with his arms wide open. He's the one who calls us back in. And your story is a testimony to that. And we're going to listen now to Our God is an Awesome God. Welcome back to Close Encounters on Cross Rhythms with me, Anne Donaldson. And my guest today is Virginia Ndozi. And Virginia, you've been sharing so openly with us about how life was and how God really called you back to himself. And you went hook, line, sinker, full of passion. And it was there in that environment of your church that you met with your husband.
I did, yes. And I feel like today, when I look back on that calling, if I never accepted that calling, I wouldn't be alive to give this testimony. Because after meeting my husband, I then became ill. And I felt ill. And the mindset that my husband has, and my boyfriend at the time, I don't think he would have coped with the diagnosis, because then I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer.
Right.
So after having numerous of surgeries, I then lost my mobility to walk. I had to learn how to walk. There was a lot of things that health-wise went downhill. And in the midst of all that storm, I was always hearing God's voice. And he would always call me Israel. He always, every time I go through any trials or tribulations, he would always call me Israel.
Yeah.
Because I used to fight through all these tribulations. I never allowed it to limit me in any sort of way. And he would remind me of the verse of Isaiah where whatever storm you go through, I will be with you.
Yeah.
Whatever fire will try to consume you, it will not consume you. It will not burn you. So he reminded me that he was the living source of water, and I wanted to drink that living source of water. I wanted my body to not wither. I wanted everything that he promised me to take place in my life, and I did not want to back down with my faith. And my husband at the time, he could have left me. He could have married anyone else, but he chose to be with me. He said, even in your cancer, I will still marry you. And I said, but you're going to become a widow. And he said, nope. I know the God that I serve. And he says to me, you will be the mother of my children, and we will be old together. So he was very determined to marry me, which he did. And then the cancer came back, and when it came back, it hit quite hard because the colorectal and the birth canal, they're very quite close together. So then the cancer started spreading to my uterus, and in numerous of times I was told to remove the uterus, and I would tell the doctors I don't want to remove it because God told me that I would have a child, and they would be looking at me like no, as in health wise, you need to remove it because it's going to kill you. And I would always fight, and I would always remain faithful to God. And I said, he doesn't lie. It's better to be obedient to this God. I know where he's taking me from. And I ended up having a child, and I gave birth at 6 months. And the doctor said, your uterus won't be able to carry this child full term. So I had him at 6 months, and he ended up passing away due to errors on the ward. And in the midst of all that fire, God was always telling me, I'm going to bless you. And he did bless me with another baby 4 months after losing that child. His name was Emmanuel, Elohim. And then he gave me Johanna. So Johanna means he is the God of mercy.
Yeah.
And in his mercy, I was able to have a beautiful daughter who is amazing and who loves Jesus as well. She's also a singer just like me. She praises the Lord. She preaches about God. So I think listening to God, even in our mistakes, even when we are weak, even though we are lost, even though we are tempted, always have that ear open up for God and don't feel ashamed. I think King David is a good example. He's done so many mistakes, but he always had this way of just humbling himself from God. And I think that's why God called him the man after my heart, because he was pure, he was sincere with God. And once you're pure and you're sincere with God and you tell him about your weakness, God doesn't judge. No way. In the time that I've walked with him, he does not judge. He's lovable, he's kind. His mercy is definitely sufficient, and his favor is always with us. If we seek it, we will definitely receive it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that you were healed of the cancer?
I was, yeah.
Wow, that's a wonderful testimony and so encouraging for so many people, because the word cancer carries with it such fear for so many people. Yeah. And to hear a testimony of someone who is healed is wonderful. And then the additional miracle of being able to have children after all that has gone on. Yeah, that's so encouraging, Vi. Thank you for sharing this with us. I wonder if you'd like to introduce your next song for us. You've chosen Above All.
Yeah. Above all the pain that I've been through, I chose that song because I think when we met, I just had a stillborn. And that was also due to an error, because when I had my daughter, because I gave birth early at 6 months, the doctors decided to put in a cerclage in my cervix. So when I was having my daughter, they removed the cerclage, but they left a bit of the cerclage in my body, and nobody knew of it until I became pregnant with my next daughter. This is just this year that I've lost her. I lost her in May. And above all of that, I still know that God is still on his throne, and he's a merciful God. In all the pains and tribulations that I've been through, he then came to speak to me, because in the trials of losing Nehemiah, I'm standing to become an advocate for women or families who are losing their children from 21 weeks because there is no help available. So God then said to me, in your pain, you will be a blessing to others.
Wow.
You shall not die, but you should live to testify the goodness of God. And then that's why I say that above all mistakes, all pains, all trials and tribulations that we can go through, he will always remain God.
Thank you. We'll listen to it now. And my guest today is Virginia Ndozi. And Virginia, I found it very moving listening to your story. It's really touched me. And you were talking about how through the loss of your own baby, you feel God's call to initiate some support for families who find themselves in that similar position. Can you share more with us?
I think, Mrs. Anne, when I lost my baby at 21 weeks, number one thing I said to the midwives, I said, I can't go through this again. Like mentally, I can't. So I left everything to the hospitals, and the hospitals says they do burial. So in my mind, I was thinking that they would arrange the funeral, they'll arrange with the funeral directors. All I have to do is just come on the burial date. But unfortunately, that's not how it works in the hospitals. The hospitals normally get the children and they bury them in a vault. So they're stacked up. They're like four children upon each other. And then I was like, where is the burial site? So that's when they went into details. And in the midst of all of that and the pain, I was like, I can't. I'm a Christian. My Bible says, dust you come from, dust you shall return. Give me back my daughter's body. I would bury her the traditional way. So when I started to call up funeral directors, they were very helpful, because when the funeral directors, they do help you. But the problem now is the cemeteries. And local councils don't have any aid or government aid to help families to bury their loss. They only help stillborns from 24 to 41 weeks. So anything below 21 to 23 weeks, there is no aid out there. So then God was telling me, this is why I wanted you to go through certain things that you're going through in your life, so you can be an advocate for others. And in that pain, I then decided to start setting up a charity. And I heard God says to me, bereavement fades. So there is a time in our lives that we still go through so many trials and tribulations, but those trials won't remain the same. It will fade off, it will go off. And he says, the second blessing is better than the first, because it's me who's blessing you to be a blessing to others. I didn't have time to mourn, in the sense that I didn't have time to be isolated from society. And I started calling up in a massive charity like Tommy's. They don't have any help available. You've got Sand, who's another massive charity that helps with stillborns. And all the charities that I was calling up, they was giving me the same answers. We don't aid. We can't give aid. We can't give any financial help. There is no financial help out there. And God said, you can call up as much as the charities that you want to do, but my word will still remain the same. You have to open this charity in order to help other families, because there is no aid out there. You would go out there, fight it. And most of these deaths or births are not recognized. There isn't any certificate that they give to you to register the birth of your child, that you've had a child from a stillborn, because they don't recognize stillborn babies at 21 to 23 weeks. So I had no choice. I had to submit, and it's in the process of being opened up. Hopefully by next year it should be running, and I'll be able to help family members to not go through the struggles of financial help to bury their child, because burial grounds are for a child as young as 21 weeks, you're looking about 930 something, depending on the council that you want to bury your child in, and it's very expensive.
So what we're saying is that God doesn't cause these things. He doesn't send us these things, but he can turn them for good.
Yes.
And
yes.
so he's taken what you went through, the emotional suffering and every aspect of what it is to lose a child. And he's able to turn it into something that's going to be a blessing to so many people.
Definitely, that's true. Very true.
So that's such an encouraging word for us. And, you know, you and your husband are doing an incredible work. And it's just amazing. So do you sing together?
Yes, we do sing together. We in the Congolese community, we're very well known. We've traveled. God has used us massively in the ministry of gospel music. We've traveled the world. We've traveled to Angola. We've traveled to Italy. We've done a lot of concerts here in London. So, and my husband's main ministry work was he was actually started off as an evangelist that was evangelizing youth. So he started off taking the youths from the street who were into gangs and into the wrong life. Like I said to you in the beginning, at 16, that's when we all want to experiment the world. And my husband was like, okay, I'm going to listen to the calling of God. And he left his job as manager in the bank to go and open up a music school that helped rebellious teenagers.
Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness, I could listen to you so much longer, but unfortunately time has won today.
Thank you so much.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for sharing such powerful testimony. And, I just appreciate your time with us today. So God bless you. We're just going to close by listening to your final choice. Thank you so much, Vi. Thank you.
Thank you.
Close Encounters on Cross Rhythms. True stories, real people.